Okay, greetings and welcome to the Grenfell MediaWatch update. Today's edition is called Doing Nothing is Not an Option. Now, I'm pretty sure many of you have already seen the footage of the Prime Minister shamefully trying to duck the issue of the young child being treated on the hospital floor in the NHS. And it kind of got me thinking about all the other issues that have been ducked to this election campaign. Two that come to mind are the deaths of young people violently on the streets of the UK. Clearly, if they were not African, this would have been making front page news during this election campaign every day. And of course, the 72 lives that were lost in Grenfell. If they were rich and wealthy bankers, again, this would be a key pledge in the election. But they're not. Looks like I'm going to have to get drenched. They're not part of the privileged elite, and so their concerns are easily ducked by the Prime Minister, who just doesn't give a damn. Over the last week, we've seen media reports how Rees-Mogg has been caught running away from cameras as voters have challenged him about his disgusting comments made about Grenfell. And in contrast, we're seeing the actions and the words of the wonderful Cladding Mendy, who, despite dealing with some real harsh illnesses, is still championing the cause. She's doing what these elected officials are supposed to do on our behalf. Now, I wish I could report there's been much progress since the publication of the Grenfell report, or at least phase 1 of the report, but sadly, that's not true. We've seen the London Fire Chief, Danny Cotton, has actually pushed forward her retirement from the end of April till the end of this month. But she's still going to be getting, I think it's 11 grand a month until April, and a reported £2 million pension. So it might seem like justice, and whilst it's a good thing for Londoners to make sure they've got a fire chief who actually going to make some real changes to the way that fires are dealt in the capital, it doesn't really help with everyone else up and down the country who are still living in fear about the issues of flammable cladding. Now, Camden Council is suing Ryden, who were the Grenfell refurbishers, and a few other companies for £130 million. Now, Camden Council wants the cladding removed from buildings in their borough, and the government has pledged £80 million to do the job. But we're hoping that the £130 million payout, if they're successful, sets a precedent for real change to take place. You see, one of the things we had to acknowledge is that there are many people still profiting off Grenfell. This is before the actual disaster took place and afterwards. Arconic, they're the US cladding manufacturer. They've spent some £30 million on their defence. The inquiry itself has spent some £40 million. There's a lot of money being spent, and yet the benefits of that money is not going to the people who deserve it the most. The victims, the families, the public. And we've also learned that there's a risk that all forms of cladding, not just ACM cladding that was on Grenfell, but even the HPL cladding, poses a risk to the public of being flammable. Now, people keep talking about lessons being learned, but that was the same cladding that was used on Lackmill House. This is a serious issue that still needs to be addressed, and yet it looks like the building constructing industry is actually ducking this issue. Let's not forget, it was only last month that there was a fire in a student residence in Bolton, and that building was covered in HPL cladding. Now, of course, there'll be some who are saying that the most important issue this election campaign is Brexit, that the Grenfell inquiry is taking place, and we have to be patient and wait for justice to take its course. But of course, we know that's not true. The Hillsborough inquiry took 30 years to return a verdict where no one has been found culpable for the deaths of 96 people. Now, this is despite an inquest finding that those 96 people had been found unlawfully killed. Justice is just not working in this country, and waiting for decades and decades to once again be told that actually no one was responsible. It was just an accident, even though those people who are actually charged with responsibility at the time, who are pulling down. I mean, Danny Cotton earns 200 grand a year. That's £250,000 a year. People who have the responsibility, and I'm not saying that she's the only one to blame, they have to bear some of the brunt of this. So I do agree with those newspaper articles that are saying that we have to, now that Danny Cotton's resigned, look deeper to find who's truly responsible. Because, yeah, while Danny Cotton and her ilk are responsible for failings on the night, they are not responsible for the refurbishment, for decisions that meant that cladding was placed when people knew it posed a fire risk and murdered 72 people. So something has to change. Something has to give. You see, if we dare accept that nonsensical argument that nothing can be done, that we just have to wait, that somebody else would do something, it doesn't have to be us, we don't have to be involved, then those people who are living in those potential death traps, if we have to wake up one day to more footage of innocent people who have gone to bed one night and lost their loved ones in their sleep, then all of us are responsible. Not just the governments that we put in place to actually protect us. I mean, Harry and Meghan can visit Grenfell charities, and I commend them for doing that and giving support. But there comes a point in time when we have to do something, when we have to recognise that we have agency, that we have the ability to bring about change. Anyway, many of you probably remember those comments by Theresa May about how she was going to house the Grenfell families within 3 weeks. That was 900 days ago. And out of the 201 households that are affected by the Grenfell massacre, 9 of them are still living in temporary accommodation. Look, if we really want change, then we have to recognise that doing nothing is not an option. Now I'm going to get out of this rain and go somewhere warm. Please make sure you get involved, even if it means just ticking a box. You know when, you know where. May the ancestors continue to guard and protect us. See you next year. Ashe.